On the 31st of March 2022, a 33-year-old man would sit down with various news agencies to confess to something truly disturbing. He admitted to murdering multiple people and told reporters had he not been caught by police, he would have gone on to kill further.
I shot her in the head.
And then you said...
But I didn't just do that. She told me I put a dog inside of the room. I put a dog inside of the room. And I had it snapped already. I was saying red. So when I put a dog in the room, I was about to set the dog on fire. And she told me, she said, no, don't do nothing to the dog. You can take me and do whatever you want to do to me instead and let him live. So I did that. I did exactly that because she started making a lot of noise. I did exactly that.
This, ladies and gentlemen, could be one of the most cold-hearted killers we've ever covered. But how do we even get here? A serial killer confessing to his crimes on a TV broadcast. And how does said serial killer go from literally planning the rest of his life with one of his victims to murdering her in cold blood? Well, let's take a deep dive into the case and figure out exactly that. It's hard to pinpoint exactly how many serial killers are active in the United States. Estimates are in the hundreds or low thousands, but there could be a lot more. Think about it, how many victims are out there that may have potentially been murdered by the same perpetrator and we just don't know about it? And before you go thinking, no, surely there can't be that many of them in the country, well, you'd be wrong. Although you may have heard of John Wayne Gacy, Jeffrey Dahmer, Ted Bundy, and Charles Manson, many serial killer cases often go under the radar. An article or two is written about the incident, and then it's swept under the rug. So then, what is a serial killer? Well, the definition varies from country to country, and even within a specific country will vary from agency to agency. But generally, a serial killer is a person who murders 3 or more people with a significant cooling off period between the incidents. While this cooling off period differs depending on who you ask, some sources state that just a few days is enough to classify someone as a serial killer, rather than a spree killer. We head over to Virginia for this one, more specifically the neighbouring cities of Norfolk and Virginia Beach. Now usually I'd start off by talking about what these cities are known for, but to save some time, they're pretty much like any other big city in the United States. I will say though, Virginia Beach in particular looks like an amazing place to live. It's definitely much better than the gloomy grey skies we have here in the United Kingdom. It's to no surprise then that according to various sources online, residents of Virginia Beach are known to be some of the happiest people in the country. And amongst those vibrant locals would be none other than Czavi'er Hill, a fun, loving, cheerful, outgoing 31-year-old entrepreneur. Calvin and Bianca Hill knew they had a star in their hands. They recognised that whatever their daughter set her mind to, she would achieve to the fullest extent. During elementary school, she excelled in her classes, so much so that she was selected to join the Gifted and Talented program. By middle school, she had already decided on what her future career path would be: communications. I mean, it suited her to a T. She was smart, extroverted, and had the gift of the gab. As a part of this career pursuit, Czavi'er hosted her own blues radio show for Hampton University Radio every Wednesday while in high school. After graduating from high school with highest honours, she was granted a 4-year scholarship at Norfolk State University, where she studied, yep, you guessed it, mass communications, and would ultimately go on to graduate with a bachelor's degree. She then went on to obtain a master's degree in human services at Regent University, and then finally began the process of pursuing another master's degree in strategic communications at the same university. Alongside her academic pursuits, Czavi'er had numerous other commitments, whether that be one of the many job roles she found herself in, or serving as a minister at her church alongside her father. As part of her ministry, she set up various online services for members of her congregation, including a blog, where she documented her personal journey, and hosted a weekly live stream every Tuesday to discuss church-related matters. Now before you go thinking, surely she couldn't fit any more into her life, I'd have to stop you right in your tracks, because Czavi'er was an extremely busy woman, and on top of everything she had going on, she still managed to find the time to set up her own branding and consulting agency, 114 & Company. And it was the birth of this company where essentially the first domino falls in this story. In September of 2020, Czavi'er met 32-year-old Cola Beale. It isn't clear how they met, but we do know that he was the polar opposite to her. He had an extensive criminal record dating back to 2005, although his first felony charge occurred in 2013. In that case, he would plead guilty to robbery, conspiracy, and use of a firearm in commission of a felony. In 2017, he received his second serious charge. In that case, he pleaded guilty to battery of a victim under the age of 13. After serving a stint in jail for that case, he was released on probation, and while out, he was caught driving while intoxicated in 2019. For that, he was sentenced to 5 days in jail. So yeah, like I said, polar opposites. We don't know if Czavi'er knew of his criminal past or that of his father's, Cola Beale III, who had murdered his wife in 2015, but if she did, she clearly thought that she could be the one to change him. Happy anniversary to you, my love. Listen, I'm not easy to deal with, but you are a champ. But seriously, thank you for making my days better. Thank you for loving me as completely and wonderfully as you have. We've grown so much over this past year. We've challenged each other. We've learned together. We've gotten it right and we've gotten it wrong. Through all the highs and lows, we stuck together. You're my person, my best friend, and the love of my life. I love you more than all the water in all the oceans in all the world. Happy anniversary and cheers to many, many, many more years together. Although Czavi'er thought the world of Cola, her parents didn't. And well, that was because he didn't really have anything going for himself. As you know, if Czavi'er wasn't studying, she was serving as a minister. And if she wasn't serving as a minister, then she was working. And if she wasn't working, she was running a business. So with Cola sitting around doing nothing, her parents weren't too impressed. And when they started to give her this third-party perspective in early 2022, Czavi'er started to see the bigger picture and realized that Cola may not be the one after all. The conversations about Cola weren't private. He knew what her parents thought about him. And Cola could see that her attitude towards the relationship was beginning to change. In Cola's eyes, he felt betrayed because he was the only one there for her when she was under extreme stress from all the stuff she had going on in her life. According to him, her parents rarely even came by to see her, and the only time they'd call, especially as of recent, was to ask about updates about their relationship and to see if Cola had finally started to do something with himself. By March of 2022, Cola Beale got that frustrated by his whole life that he just snapped and murdered Czavi'er and her pet dog in cold blood.
To talk and tell your side of the story, why speak to us?
Because most of the times when people see something happen like this, the person that do it don't ever get to tell their side of the story.
So did you shoot your girlfriend and burn her house down?
Yeah, I did.
You did?
Yeah.
Why?
So in the beginning, everything was good. Like our life was good. But the whole reason they kind of switched it up was like a week ago. When one of her parents tried to get involved in our relationship and tried to turn her away from me or like ask about me and how I provide for her when I was providing very well. And it just made her like start to act different. I had been there with her for almost 16 months. And they had never like came to check on her. I only seen them come to check on her like twice out of like almost a year and a half. And I had been there for her emotionally, physically, and spiritually, but it was like when she tried to move on to the next chapter in her life, when her mom asked like how would he provide, now that you about to get a good job, how would he provide? I was getting ready to launch a business. I didn't just up and just wake up and do this.
Had y'all had problems before?
We had no problems at all. This was a build-up of just us taking a whole week. We had been in the house together for almost a year trying to get our business plans together. We had figured out a workout plan, a dieting plan, a financing plan. We had everything laid out.
So you snapped?
I even helped her get her business once and sat there with her while she was trying to get her business put together when she had to actually run a church, go to college, take care of herself from when she was sick, and also make sure that her parents was good. So at that time, I was helping her hold all the weight.
So at what point did you have a breaking point that led you to doing what you say you did as far as killing her? What was the moment that led to that?
I had the breaking point when her mom kept calling and she was crying like, so what is he gonna do? Like, I'm sorry, like you messing with her head now. I'm in here trying to build a foundation with her and y'all over this side. So when she was getting ready to start her new job, it was like her attitude started to switch because she listening to them, but they don't know she was crying and on the floor and everything before she even talked to them. So now I'm trying to build a foundation over here with her. Y'all trying to come over here and build, but y'all never coming over. Y'all never actually putting in, and she's never telling y'all what I'm actually doing for her, so it make it seem like I'm not providing at all.
So it sounds like you were saying parents, so why did you take it out on her?
Because her attitude started to come out because of so much was going on. Her attitude started to lash out, but then also had things I was dealing with at the time too. It's not just one thing you're dealing with when you just snap. It's not that. It's other things in life I was dealing with. I was wearing a sex charge that I had no involvement with, but my family told me to wear it just because I pleaded guilty to come home. But they didn't want me to clear my name or to face the person so I could clear my name. They wanted me to wear it. So I was also dealing with that, and I had just found out that I was cleared. I had just took a polygraph and I was cleared. So I was on probation for about 4 years, and out of the 4 years I was on probation never came in the house. But for some reason, they reset my probation after I took the polygraph, after knowing that I didn't do the sex crime. They reset it like I just came home after 4 years. So now, they put me back on the high. I was on the low. I was getting ready to get off of probation. I was good. But that Friday, she called and was like, hey, I need to come to the house, and I need to see where you at. I need to see what the room look like. I said, look, you ain't been in my house in 4 years. Nobody's been in my house out of like 6 probation officers in like 4 years. Why are you putting pressure on me now? And it's like 1 o'clock. You didn't tell me you was coming or anything. So telling me it's protocol, I have to do my job. This is what I'm supposed to do. I said, look, man, I already got enough stress going on right now. Me and Shorty over here trying to keep things level. I finally talked with her. She was like, she ready to go back to work. But honestly, she didn't want to go to work because she didn't want to leave me. But I said, go ahead and go to work. But her mom on this end was putting pressure on her and making her cry and break down.
So then tell me what happened. You had a gun. Where'd you shoot her?
I shot her in the head.
And then you said.
But I didn't just do that. She told me I put a dog inside of the room. I put a dog inside of the room. And I hadn't snapped already. I was saying red. So when I put a dog in the room, I was about to set the dog on fire. And she told me, she said, no, don't do nothing to the dog. You can take me and do whatever you want to do to me instead and let him live. So I did that. I did exactly that because she started making a lot of noise. I did exactly that.
Do you have remorse for killing your girlfriend?
I mean, when you snap, you don't think about remorse. You just snap. So, I mean, do you have remorse if you ever tell a lie? Do you have remorse if you ever look somebody in the face and told a bold lie, or you had a question but you knew the answer but you just want to see what somebody's going to tell you? Do you have remorse when you feel, when you look in the mirror and you know this is not the right way to go out, but you still go out like that? Like how many times in your life do you feel like you have remorse?
So after you shoot her in the head, you then set the house on fire.
And the reason why it made me set the house on fire was because even watching the cameras, like I told you, when her mom tried to get involved, when you try to get involved in somebody's relationship or you speak on the person that they with, I watch you on camera come check on her. You didn't even come and knock on the door. You just called her phone, but you didn't come in. She was dead since Tuesday. You came to the house on Wednesday. I was texting you on her phone. You knew something was right, but you still had a key and you still didn't come in and check on her.
So you killed her Tuesday, set her house on fire on Thursday?
Exactly. But they came on Wednesday and she came on Wednesday, never came inside the house. She just parked in front of the house. So that's what made me fight. That's what made me fiery, man. Like, yo, y'all, like, this is what escalates when you jump in front of somebody's relationship and you act like you want to be there, but you came all the way to the house from Suffolk, Chesapeake, borderline. You drove all the way from there and you just parked in front of the house and you just drove off.
At around noon on March 22nd, 2022, Cola and Czavi'er returned home on the 5500 block of Baccalaureate Drive after spending the morning out. Shortly after they arrived, they got into an argument over what Czavi'er's parents had been complaining about. This time though, it was the final straw and Cola exploded. During the argument, he tied Czavi'er up, drenched her dog in bleach, and threatened to set him on fire. As a side note though, for those of you who don't know, bleach isn't actually flammable, so I'm unsure what he was trying to do. In a panic, Czavi'er begged him to leave the dog alone and told Cola he could do anything to her instead. So that's exactly what he did. He changed his mind, let the dog go, and shot her in the head. He then invited friends to come over throughout the day, and they helped themselves to items from the house. Cola knew it was only a matter of time before he either ended up behind bars or was shot dead in a shootout with police. With that in mind then, he began to think about who he could target next because he had plenty of other people on his hit list. And next up was his stepfather, 72-year-old Clifton Baxton, who he would gun down in cold blood 2 days after murdering Czavi'er. Cola had harbored some resentment towards Clifton because he refused to help him out financially. You see, Cola knew he had a bunch of money stashed in his home, but anytime he asked for a relatively large amount, Clifton made out he didn't have it. What should be noted is that even though Clifton would refuse to hand over large amounts of cash, he still gave some to Cola.
Tell me this, before we get into that, what's your relationship with Mr. Max?
He basically raised me. He basically like raised me. Like I was raised with him for like 15 years, but at the same time, when I needed him the most, he wasn't there. So at the same time, when I needed this and that, just something to get on my feet, he tell me he ain't had nothing. But when I killed him, I found like $20,000. So this whole time, if you had gave me $1,000, I would have been good, just to make it back.
Did you take the 20 grand?
Yes, I took. Anybody would take the 20 grand. If you hit the lotto, you gonna take the 20 grand, right? I'm just asking. I mean, you ask a question, I'm gonna ask questions too. Anybody can take 20 grand if they see it and ain't nobody gonna stop it.
So what led to you killing Mr. Baxter?
Say that again.
What led you to kill Mr. Baxter? What happened?
It was just so much hate I had for him because when I was growing up, he was there, but then he just stepped out of my life. So when I finally tried to like make that bond with him, he act like he wanted to help. He was there, but then he wasn't there like I needed him. And even though I tell you in distress what I need, you tell me you don't have it, and I end up killing you, and now I find out you had everything I needed. I didn't need 20 grand, I probably needed like 1,000 just to get myself situated. But when I kill you, when I find you got 20 grand, you've been lying to me this whole time. Like, don't nobody like to be lied to, so yes, I snapped. Yes, I snapped. And when I brought my cousin there with me, and I did it, it was like, okay. It was like, okay, like I've been ready. Like, you had everything I needed.
For those of you wondering, Cola is referencing his cousin, 32-year-old Downing McLean. He had been one of the ones invited over to Czavi'er's home after the murder. Cola said he was also present when he murdered Clifton, although that claim can never be verified. On March 24th, 2024, Cola returned to Czavi'er's home and set the house on fire. Sadly, her dog was burned alive when the house went up in flames.
13 News Now at 11 begins with breaking news. Crews are at the scene of a deadly townhouse fire in Virginia Beach. We know one person is dead, and that's not all firefighters found. Angelique Arentalk is live at the scene. So, Angelique, what else have you learned?
Emergency responder crews are still in the neighborhood. It looks like they've since put out the fire, but their lights continue to flood the area. This is a community called Campus East near Virginia Wesleyan University. A spokeswoman with the Virginia Beach Fire Department says crews found one person and one pet inside one of the townhomes. Both of them died. Beach police and animal control are on scene as well. Now, how the fire sparked is still under investigation. We'll keep you posted with the latest as we learn them on air and online. Meantime, live in Virginia Beach, Angelique Aaron Talk, 13 News Now.
A day after the house fire, police attended Clifton's home and found him dead on his couch. A concerned friend had called police to do a welfare check on him after not hearing from him for a few days. Clifton was battling late-stage cancer, so the friend assumed he may have passed away from that. He didn't expect him to be found with a bullet wound to the head. When Clifton's body had been located, detectives working the Czavi'er murder case connected the two incidents, and a person of interest, Cola Beale, was identified and they wanted to speak with him. The only thing was though, he had fled from Virginia Beach and headed over to Norfolk with his cousin, Downing. While on the run from law enforcement, Cola began to think about who he could target next. He needed to do it strategically, so he could get as many people as possible before the inevitable. Some of those on his list were people who were allegedly out to get his cousin, Downing. However, Downing couldn't locate them. So he did something else instead. He began antagonizing people because he saw that his cousin was ready to kill. Ultimately though, it would backfire on him. He was looked at as a liability. In the end, it was Downing who caught a bullet instead.
So at the same time, he had seen both bodies. My cousin had seen both bodies, but he laughed at him. He made it seem like it was a joke. To me, it was something like, okay, I didn't want to do it, but I did it because I was snapping. So in the midst of everything, I was going to take care of some things with him for some people that wanted to kill him. So I already didn't snap. So I'm like, I'm ready to put in some work. I'm ready to go take care of some people that trying to take care of you before I get killed. So in the midst of doing that, he's snapping on everybody that's around us. I'm in here trying to help save you, because I already done snapped, my life gone. You laughing and joking and talking stuff and like yelling and everything and you out of control, drinking, whatever. So I tell you to calm down, because I already killed two people. So I'm already seeing red. You still talking to me, harassing me, whatever it is. I said, let me find people who wanted to kill you. For some reason, you can't find them, but they can find you. So if they find you and I'm with you, they gonna kill me too, right? So I said, eventually, you gonna have to shut up talking like that. You talking crazy. So nothing went down. He started making a scene. I told him to calm down. And still started talking reckless at the mouth. I told him calm down. Then he tried to put his hands he just tried to charge and put his hands on his girlfriend. So at the same time, I was like, look, I had to break that up. I'm like, I'm over here to kill somebody for you that want to kill you. But you in here trying to fight your girlfriend and you worry about stuff that don't even matter to me. I just killed two people. I got fed up with him because he kept talking like you not about this, you not gonna do nothing. Like, bro, I just killed two people. You don't think I'm ready to shoot again? So he just kept going off and started getting loud and raging. So I went right in the kitchen and shot him right in the head. He didn't drop. He just kept moving in circles. Then I shot him in the back to make sure he hit the ground. I don't feel no remorse about none of this at all. When you snap, you don't think about remorse. That's not something that comes to your mind when you snapping. It's like if you pissed off, if your man cheated on you and you knew something and he ain't say nothing and you find out, what you gonna do? You gonna talk nice? You gonna think about it? No, you gonna snap.
On March 30th, 2022, Cola Beale was tracked down to an Airbnb, which he had paid for using the money he had stolen from Clifton. At the time, he had been with Downing's girlfriend, who he had taken hostage. He needed her there to help him stay hidden. She was told to follow his commands, and if she didn't, then well, he'd kill her too. Cola later told detectives that he wanted to have a shootout with the police but decided to surrender instead after noticing that some children were staying in the property next door. He didn't want them to potentially get hit by gunfire. In March of 2024, Cola Beale went on trial for charges in Virginia Beach, which included 2 counts of aggravated murder, 2 counts of arson, 2 counts of illegal use of a firearm, abduction, and torturing and killing a companion animal. He would be going on trial in May of 2024 for the charges in relation to the murder of Downing. The March trial was brief. It was over within a few days. To no surprise, Cola was found guilty on all counts. For his role in this part of the crime, he was handed 3 life sentences, 2 of those without parole, plus an extra 63 years. After his first trial, he sat down with reporters once again, where he seemingly changed his tune.
Do you feel remorseful for what you've done for these two people?
Now from seeing the videos and knowing I wasn't in the right state of mind, but seeing everything and hearing what I was saying and knowing now what's been done, yes.
What happened? Why did this all start?
Well, it seems like when I blacked out, a lot of things happened, but I can't change it now.
Why did you just not, if you had already admitted to these people's deaths, why did you not just plead guilty? Why take this to trial?
At the same time, I didn't, in the beginning, like I said, I didn't know that I said all this stuff. Cause I was still, like when y'all talked to me the first time, I had just came to the jail. And before then, when I was talking to the officers, I was just in the precinct. Before that, I was out on the run. So in this time frame, I was still in that state of mind where I was still blacked out. So when I was fighting the case, I didn't know anything but, okay, just to sit in here and see how this goes. So for me to fight the case, I was like, okay, but I already knew the outcome. I knew what the outcome was going to be, because just hearing it, I'm hearing it from more people that was hearing the interviews, and I didn't even see the interview until people was telling me what I was saying, and I'm like, okay, I said this.
Why did you agree to talk to me here, but why not testify to that in court?
Because I felt like everything was already said, and to say it again in court, it didn't even matter. Because they basically played enough, and then I heard it for the first time, and I was like, wow. To just, I know it's gonna take time, but hopefully in due time they can do better and in this process heal and have better days, knowing that their loved ones are gone. Hopefully they can get back to how things was.
Before his trial in May of 2024, the state offered him a plea deal. The plea meant he'd served no extra time, as it would run concurrent with the sentence from the first trial. But for some bizarre reason, he rejected the deal and went on trial again. His defense tried to argue that this wasn't a case of murder because Cola acted in the heat of passion because Downing had become a liability. But those claims were rejected, and he was found guilty once again. The trial was supposed to last 4 days. It ended up only being 2. The jury came back with a guilty verdict after just 90 minutes. The judge would end up sentencing him to life, which meant he'd now be serving 4 life sentences plus an extra 68 years.